Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a Victoria man faces murder charges accused of killing his wife. The U.S. has seen more than 400 mass shootings this year where 4 or more people were hit by gunfire. The U.S. Marshal's Office arrested this man from Cuero in connection to a shooting in Pennsylvania.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. A sight for sore eyes, some clouds and some few showers around the area. Good news is we're going to have a couple more by tomorrow. We'll have all the weather details coming up.
Governor Abbott pushes back on the Justice Department's notice to remove those floating border barriers in the Rio Grande. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon. Thank you for being with us. I'm James Munoz. Karina Garcia has the night off. Authorities have charged a man with murder. 50-year-old Willard Willis Baugh is also charged with aggravated assault against a public servant and tampering with evidence. Police say it happened Saturday around 11 a.m. in the 4500 block of North John Stockbauer Drive. The woman killed is identified as the suspect's wife, 44-year-old Brandy Baugh. Willard Baugh is in jail, held without bond. A fourth teen is now charged in an assault case in Jackson County. Braxton Warren is charged with engaging in organized criminal activity, assault. He has bonded out of jail. He and these 3 other teens are charged in the case. They were all baseball players for the Industrial ISD last year. The incident happened on April 27th. The Victoria ISD has a specially called board meeting tomorrow to fill the District 2 seat. The meeting starts at 5:30 p.m. at the VISD Administration Building, 102 Prophet Drive. There are 3 District 2 applicants: Emmett Alvarez, Bridget Marshall, and Andrew Rakovich. Now, Adolf Robles has removed himself from the race. He was initially in there. Estela de los Santos resigned earlier this month to avoid a conflict of interest regarding a family member who was interested in working for the district. Here's your viewer poll this afternoon. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. Who do you want to see appointed to fill the District 2 seat? Emmett Alvarez, Bridget Marshall, or Andrew Rakovich? We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to participate. We'll have an update on 25 News Now at 6. Friday, the U.S. Marshals arrested 21-year-old Joseph Rivera at a house in the 600 block of East Morgan in Cuero. Rivera is accused of firing several rounds into a Lancaster, Pennsylvania home last year, hitting a juvenile who was not his intended victim. He faces attempted criminal homicide and 2 other charges. Rivera was out on bond in Victoria County for illegally carrying a weapon. Rivera was transported to the DeWitt County Jail, where he's awaiting extradition to Pennsylvania. One of our viewers sent us these photos from tree damage near Zach Lentz and Navarro. Mac, did Ganado and Goliad also see storms and rain on Sunday?
Well, it was very spotty, but some places did get significant stuff. Up in Ganado, actually, just outside along 59, Highway 59, they got almost 3 inches in some spots. So depending on where you're standing, some people got some much needed rainfall. Some people got a little bit more this afternoon. As you can see, one particular shower fairly heavy on the other side of Wharton. Everything that came through Victoria is now sort of drifting to the south. It's going up to Cuero and places like that. But more activity again tomorrow. I mean, it's not exactly cool, but it's cool to see the clouds and the rain, and we'll talk more about it coming up in just a moment. James?
Thank you so much. So far this year, authorities have worked more than 400 mass shootings. In Houston, 1 person was killed and 4 people were hurt in a shooting early Saturday morning. The victim was a 21-year-old woman who was 5 months pregnant. Sunday morning in Tampa, Florida, 5 people were hurt in a shooting at a bar. The Gun Violence Archive shows these incidents among the more than 400 mass shootings in 2023 so far. A mass shooting is defined as an incident where at least 4 people are hurt or killed, excluding the shooter. Governor Abbott is pushing back against the Justice Department's plans to take legal action against the state. At issue are these floating barriers in the Rio Grande to stop migrants from crossing the border. In a letter last week, the DOJ said the barriers violate federal law, raise humanitarian concerns, and present serious risk to the public safety and environment. The agency gave Texas until today to remove the border barriers. In a letter to President Biden, Abbott refused, saying Texas will see you in court. The Biden administration answered by suing Texas. In the continuing story about the sudden resignation of that Texas A&M University president, the Texas Tribune reports black students at the university are now left without representation of someone who has the experience of a faculty member who cares about what she does and someone who genuinely loves her field. Catherine Banks' resignation comes after backlash of how the university handled the recruitment of Professor Kathleen McElroy. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click on the notification bell. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5, Israel's parliament passed a key law Monday and part of the prime minister's effort to overhaul the country's judicial system. Also ahead, a police dog mauled a black man in Ohio during a July 4th traffic stop after he surrendered.
Edwin Gregorick is your military hero for the month of July. Edwin was born in Ganado and was active in sports, playing football and track, and then enlisted in the United States Army in 1946. At this time, many were drafted in the Army, but Edwin liked the idea of getting his college paid for, so he enlisted.
After basic training, I went to the Army Medical School for enlisted personnel. And there we were taught like anatomy and physiology of the human body, of all the parts and what they did.
Edwin would become an Army medic and was sent overseas to the Philippines taking care of soldiers. Edwin was later transferred to Japan from the Philippines, a time he'll never forget because the trek to Japan was done on a tugboat.
And they put us on, transferred 10 of us out of there, and they put us on a seagoing tugboat. It had accommodations for a crew of 3, and they put 10 of us on there, and we stayed on there for 3 days and almost 3 nights. And when we landed in Okinawa, it was like cold. They had a cold front came through there, and it was like 35 degrees, and it was kind of a misty, heavy fog and rain. And then this captain of this tugboat pulled in this dock there, and he said, "This is as far as I'm taking you folks." He said, "I called the hospital and they're going to come pick you up." But I said, "In the meantime, I want you to stay right here on this dock. Don't go anywhere. Don't set foot above anywhere off of this dock. Don't go over there to that building or walk on that lawn over there. Well, there's lots of unexploded war toys there."
In Japan, he would do intakes of soldiers, figuring out what was wrong with them and then send them to the correct doctor. From there, he was transferred to the 609 Quartermaster Graves Registration in Manila, Philippines, where he would identify the skeletal remains of soldiers to make sure those bodies got back to their families, as well as to bury the dead, a more grim side of the military many are probably unaware of.
I presume that most of the people don't know anything about graves registration, and I didn't either until I was part of it. When I got to this graves registration place, it was about 15 miles out in the country, out of Manila there. 15 miles from nowhere. It was way, way out there. Yeah. And it is a huge, huge cemetery. It's probably the biggest cemetery I have ever seen in my life. It was probably more than a half mile wide and more than a mile long. And it was called World Cemetery because anybody that died as a result of World War II, regardless of who they were, what they did, or anything else, they were buried. They were privileged of being buried there, and there was a lot of Americans buried there.
It wasn't exactly what he wanted to do, but it was his task, and he rose to the occasion to serve his country.
Yeah, well, that's what I was signed to, and you didn't have no choice. That's what you did. You went and did what they said.
Edwin briefly went to Papua New Guinea, sent to recover the remains of soldiers who were in a B-17 bomber which had crashed there, but the mission had to be scrapped, and it might surprise you as to why.
We got all that lined up, and we were getting ready to go, and then the day we were supposed to go, this guide come by. He said he's not going to go there. We said, why? He said, well, he talked to a village chief about 15 miles from where we were, and he told me about he knew about that airplane and where it was and everything I needed to know about it. But he said, don't go there because there's cannibals there. So we had to scratch that project.
After the military, Edwin went to pharmacy school at UT in Austin, and he didn't hold it against me that I'm a Sooner. So, Edwin, this is for you. Hook 'em horns.
And we processed lots of remains. And then I was sent home and discharged in 49. And I went to college and went to pharmacy school and started practicing pharmacy in 53.
After college, he worked in retail and hospital pharmacies for much of his career before retiring in 2006. Edwin will be 95 next month and still gets around just fine. He's been attending an exercise class 3 times a week since the 90s. It's probably why he's in such great shape.
See, I go to exercise 3 times a week to our health center. And she and I have been in this since 1999.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've been going to exercise class for over 20 years.
What's that?
You've been in that class for over 20 years.
Close to 24 years, yeah, 1999. 3 times a week, 1 hour, hour Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, for 3 times a week.
Edwin has 2 sons and a daughter and 2 granddaughters and still stays plenty busy, saying that whatever it takes to get him off the couch.
Well, I'm a master gardener. I work at the airport, and I work with Warriors Weekend here, and I'm a civilian police academy.
So thank you, Edwin, for your service to your country, for his full 40-minute extended interview of his time in the Army and everything he did while he was there. Please come to crossroadstoday.com for a link to watch that extended cut. He's got some pretty amazing stories. Adam Seibel, KAVU-TV 25 News Now.
Have approved a key portion of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's divisive plan to reshape the country's justice system. The vote Monday came after a stormy session where lawmakers chanted shame before storming out of the chamber. The vote reflects the determination of the Prime Minister and his far-right allies to move ahead with the plan despite massive sustained protests for months and opposition from business leaders, military reservists, and legal representatives. In a disturbing video released by the Ohio State Highway Patrol, a police dog attacked a black man in Ohio during a traffic stop after he surrendered to authorities with his hands raised in the air. A motor carrier enforcement inspector tried to stop 23-year-old Jadarius Rose, who was driving a semi-tractor trailer with a missing left rear mud flap. He's seen on video standing in front of the troopers with his hands in the air. A trooper was heard yelling, "Do not release the dog," with his hands up, but the canine was released. It's time to start thinking about going back to school. Preparing now before classes start can help lessen the stress of a new school year.
As summer starts winding down, back to school mode gears up.
Kids are just like adults. They need preparation.
Strong for Life licensed therapist Jody Baumstein says to start now by gauging how children are feeling about the new school year, ask open-ended questions, and listen.
If we say something like, "Oh, are you nervous to go back to school?" Maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but now they might be overthinking what they actually feel or feeling like they need to respond in a certain way.
No matter what kids share, Baumstein says to validate and normalize their feelings, especially in times of change. She says getting back on track with habits and routines can help ease stress. For example, if bedtimes have gotten later over the summer, Baumstein says to inch the time back gradually.
Because if we set ourselves up from the beginning with something that's totally unrealistic, the kids aren't going to be really tired at that time. They might feel frustrated. You might feel frustrated.
And as everyone settles back into the school routine, Baumstein says to limit any unnecessary stressors.
Maybe you're redoing a room or starting to potty train a younger child. Maybe it can wait a week or two as we enter into the school year. It's really helpful to think about pressing pause on those things.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
It is so hot in Arizona, doctors are seeing a spike in patients burned by falling on the ground. Some people have had to go to the ER with significant, sometimes life-threatening burns. There are also burned patients in the ICU. About half of them are people who got burned after falling. Because of its density and dark color, the asphalt can be dangerously hot, up to 180 degrees at certain times. It can cause a burn to the skin in just a fraction of a second.
No kidding, that happened to me. I was really in Las Vegas. It was 120. I had a stick shift, and I put my hand on the stick shift, and the little metal thing on top left a brown thing. So it can happen, folks. It has been, of course, a stifling 3 weeks for us. Finally, we got a break. Yes, we're back to what we're supposed to be this time of year. A little bit of cloud cover and a few showers. We're going to have some more in the next couple of days, so we'll be talking about that coming up in a moment. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Well, it's 91 degrees right about now. When was the last time we had a 91-degree reading? It's been like a month, or maybe more like 3 months. It's still on the warm and humid side. It's going to be quite humid, but at least we don't have that dome of doom on top of us, giving us the brutal, oppressive temperatures. We did manage to get up to 97 right at about 2 o'clock, but then we popped the little showers and they started giving us some cloud cover and moving through, and that puts us closer to our average high of 95. But this is only, shall we say, for a little while, maybe 4 or 5 days, and then we're probably getting back to this stuff. North Victoria up there, well, let's see, up by the Walmart, everybody knows where that is, got about 1/4 of an inch yesterday. Raisin get almost a good solid inch. Cuero didn't get quite as much, but not too far away. Stratton got 1.5 inches, and I believe it was Ganado that got 3 inches in that big thunderstorm that kind of went right over the area and dropped a lot of rain. So these will be very widely scattered, and they'll be, shall we say, each one is its own, it's a discrete thing. It's its own little shower. So some of you will get some heavier rain. A lot of you will get, shall we say, garden variety kind of shower activity. We'll get the totals of this coming in probably later this afternoon. But as you can see, the land heated up, the moisture came in, and because we didn't have a dome of doom on top of us, it was able to pop into a little shower activity. Right about now, here's the city, and you can see how most of it went around the city. It's all basically down toward the Beeville area, down toward Mathis and Highway 35 right about there. But this is not the end of it. I mean, we've got a good 2-3 days out of this, so with a little luck, we'll get some much needed rainfall around the area. And of course, the not the tropics, the Gulf is fairly busy. Right about now, we've got a lot of stormy weather off the coast of Louisiana and also down south. Now, no one's really talking about this, but there is sort of a cluster of thunder showers in the Gulf that seem to be moving northbound, and possibly will be adding to the humidity around the area to possibly give us more showers. So yes, next 2-3 days, we've got a good shot at getting something going around the area. These are the actual highs. Now, I got to check this. I'm not sure. I believe 97 in Victoria. I believe 97 in Port Lavaca. I don't believe 78 was the high in Canada. You believe that? We'll check on that. But now, the Dome of Doom, where is it? Well, it's actually moving north, and this is going to be rolling up into the Central Plains. So in the next few days, or this week, you're going to be hearing about record-breaking temperatures in the Dakotas, in the Midwest, in Chicago, Kansas, Missouri. They'll be looking at 100-degree temperatures similar to what we were dealing with, but it's going to be much farther north. And so everything under this dome is going to be allowed to break through our area. So as that continues moving away, we get some activity coming in from the Gulf. So tomorrow, your day planner in Port Lavaca, starting off at 80 in the morning, getting up to only 94 with additional afternoon showers. For those of you in the Cuero area, we start off at 77, get up to 96, mostly sunny, but I believe you'll get some shower activity somewhere in DeWitt County. So for the next 3 days, a 30% for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then decreasing, but still a minimal chance as we get into the coming weekend. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody, we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. James, back to you.
Mac, thank you very much. Coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, we'll take a look at Wall Street. Plus, a new survey suggests American businesses are expected to fare better in the coming months. All right, the Dow up 184 points, the S&P 500 gaining 18 points, and the Nasdaq adding 27 points. Oil up $1.67, closing at $78.74 a barrel. A survey from the National Association for Business Economics released today shows businesses are enjoying better economic conditions. The group's president says it reflects on an economy of rising sales and profits as material costs decline and stabilizing wages prove less challenging. It also improved the odds of a soft landing by the Federal Reserve, where inflation would return to a 2% target. We'll take one last look at your forecast with Mac. Plus, Barbie and Oppenheimer had a successful weekend in movie theaters across the country. Gerwig's Barbie and Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer brought moviegoers back to theaters in record numbers. Barbie claimed the top spot with $155 million in ticket sales from North American theaters from over 4,200 locations. Oppenheimer also scored big, taking in $80.5 million from over 3,600 theaters in the U.S. and Canada. Both movies scored well with critics, with 90% for Barbie and 94% for Oppenheimer on Rotten Tomatoes. And Mac, you saw one of those. Which one?
I saw Oppenheimer, which was extremely well done, and but I could not believe the amount of women and girls dressed in pink.
There was a lot of
at the
pink
movie
this
house.
weekend, yeah.
And they were even having Barbie parties at home. Talk about marketing! Wow.
Yeah.
How
So
do
you
get the
recommend the movie, huh?
If you're looking for, obviously that's light and airy stuff, but I hear it's got a lot of serious undertones.
Yeah,
Barbie.
Barbie.
But Oppenheimer is something you have to see, because I mean it relives an important moment for this country, and extremely well done.
Yeah. Indoors in a cold theater is where you need to be.
That's where I was.
And I love these rain chances.
Yeah, it's good stuff. We haven't seen this in so long. Yes, it's a sight for sore eyes, More showers expected Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and a little bit of a decrease in the activity by the time we get to the coming weekend. But temperatures are still warm and humid, but at least we got a chance of a cloud and or a little raindrop here and there.
All right, Mac, thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. We hope to see you back here for 25 News Now at 6.